well, fingers crossed we have got that one sorted and over and done with. Joseph, thank you very much for letting us know you couldn't hear us in the chat. It looks like it's working, so please let me know if it hasn't or if it is now, after just deleting the property and putting it back in.
Yes.
LCR Leopard, welcome along again.
Where were we?
Hungry, last time out. Yeah, let's have a look. Let's go to that. You know more about it because it was yourself and James.
Excuse me. Yes, it was a quite baffling final lap, and well, baffling for one reason. Is I'm baffled still now. We're in the year 2025. That's how baffling it is. It's one of the weirdest kind of like tactical decisions I think I've ever seen. What Joe Murphy did on that penultimate lap, just moving over and letting 3 cars by. I mean, I get the idea, but it was just. Anyway, here we are, water under the bridge, if you will, and yes, we are here on the streets of Montreal. Where, well, obviously we don't have a Scotsman. There's no Cameron Dowds, which we'll get onto in a bit. And of course, Rens Thomason, whilst not quite, and I think literally, like, as close as it can get without actually having it, doesn't quite have a match point here tonight. But he is, you know, I mean, I think we said it back in Silverstone, Gareth, that he looked like he had a little bit more at the midpoint of the season. And I think now he's just, and ever since then, and in particular now, it's just been slowly but surely kind of increasing his and stamping his authority on this championship bit by bit. And now he's got a very healthy advantage at the top of the standings.
He does indeed. We got the standings up there, and well, we'll probably speak about the Cameron Dowd's conversational piece between qualifying and the race, but qualifying has started, and we are just about to go over and have a look and see what it is all going down. It is looking like it looks like it's going to be a very, very dry qualifying, but just overcast as through the not through the Wall of Champions, but onto his first lap is TF10 Rens, who, well, you might have guessed is Rens Tomlinson. And yeah, a healthy lead at the top, and it's going to be an interesting one. But, you know, Canada always has some, interesting parts where I'm just, you know, 2011, it's one of my favourite memories of the Canadian Grand Prix. Anything can happen, and it can at Canada.
Yeah, indeed it can. I mean, that 2011 race is probably one of the best F1 races of all time, certainly in the modern era, that's for certain. That race was just bonkers. It basically had everything that you'd want in terms of drama. But, you know, it can, sometimes it can go a bit stale, but I think knowing the F1 games, that's not going to happen, especially with the way the slipstream is. I think we are in for a bit of a cracker here tonight. I mean, we often are. It's WOR. Can't really, you know, it's rare you get a bit of a bore fest these days, but I think we are going to be in for something special here tonight. I think another big question will also be, especially with the F1 games, track limits, as Rens Thomason, championship leader, sets the first lap time of the session, 1 minute 8.126.
Yeah, not a bad start to the session, is it, for Rens? But Epic Vale quite close behind him, and considering, you know, you can't just say was a Tier 2 driver last season, but seeing as he was a Tier 2 driver last season, he's close to the championship leader at the moment, which is going good for him. Shows a good momentum is still with him after some up and down parts of the beginning part of this season. Shizu Oscar throws themselves into third with a 108.327. So still quite close at the top, but Spicer, I think, just starting a lap time. Alpha Gully maybe, I think, on a lap as well. But it looks like all drivers are on track. Quite a gaggle of cars, really. Yeah,
they're all bunched up, aren't they? Looking at the mini-map, it's kind of like you kind of get from the hairpin all the way down to like turn 1. It's nigh on empty, but then basically throughout the rest of it, it's like every single car. So yeah, it's all, you know, quite bunched up at this moment in time. Here is Alpha Gully in the Williams. Bit of a, maybe not necessarily a Paul Merchant last season in Tier 2, but definitely could put a qualifying lap together. And I feel like Canada might be the track where he can get amongst the big boys on the front couple rows. Here we go, then fly through the Wall of Championship chicane. Here we go. Alpha Gully up towards line. It's in provisional pole. It looked like for a second I thought it was going to be. In the end, he missed out by a couple of tenths. But the two Williams boys, two Tier 2 drivers from last season, one heading the second row and the other just ahead of him on the front row. So good showing from the two Williams boys so far.
Yeah, real good showing from the both of them, especially to be the ones that really pushing the Ren's, the championship leader. I don't know how many times I'm going to say that tonight, but Oscar also, Alpha Gully agonising. Well, it's more agonising for Oscar than it is Alpha Gully, because look how close those two are. Both the two Shizou drivers and LR Ryan with a solid lap time there for fifth. Enzo Sabaton in seventh there, but Joe Murphy has finally joined the session. He is our 20th driver. He does have a qualifying ban for this race, but Supply Raptors just about to start a lap time in the second RB. Zinedine is his teammate in sixth, who's a new driver, I believe.
Yes, he is. Yeah, I think by the sounds of it, for me, just as much as you, a bit of an unknown. Don't know a huge amount about him, but currently in P6. Is the RB tonight, and well, that's certainly a good showing for your WR debut, or at the very least, first WR race for a while. So yeah, we'll see what the RB can do here tonight, and he's going about it in the right way. Currently at the back of the third row at the moment, which is a solid qualifying position so far, but still, of course, a long way to go.
I think Supply Raptors just caught the wall. It's not at the Wall of Champions; it's the one at 4. Where he's also nearly as common to hit, but it still looks like he's going quick. Crucially for him, he's come out in front of all the gaggle of cars that are in that second straight there. And while, yes, the collisions are turned off, it still could be quite distracting for those guys if they see a ghosting car.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where when the collisions are off, you can kind of, on the one hand, it's, okay, good, I'm not going to get balked fully on my qualifying laps, but it still can, you know, take your vision a little bit when you see a car, and it's not ideal, but it's better than hitting one, that's for certain. Here comes Supply Raptor up to the line, into the top 10, P8 for the RB, and now here comes the rest of the second qualifying lap so far. Rez Tomlinson's just gone through the first sector split. Epic Vale's about to enter the, gone through the second sector split and enter sector 3, and he's got 2 tenths in his back pocket, so Epic Vale looking odds on. If we can get this final sector right, that's a good exit out of the hairpin. Now, if we can get the Wall of Champions chicane right, he should be good for provisional pole position, will the Williams, and this is a stunning showing so far from Epic Vale. What was Renz's split through sector 2? Did you catch it or not?
I didn't. I'm on board with Epic Vale as he's coming through the Wall of Champions. It looks like it's a little bit of a squirm off the curb, but it is...
Oh, he's lost time.
Oh, yeah, it must have been... Oh, 3/10 up is Renz.
Oh, my.
He is on fire. If he's got this right and perfect through the hairpin, which I believe he has, it is absolutely murdered his own lap time.
That is terrifyingly good from the championship leader. Rydell moves up into second place alongside him on the front row, but that is a huge margin between Renz and the rest of the field. I mean, yeah, sure, Epic Vale certainly has time on the table through Sector 3, and who knows how much he still has through Sectors 1 and 2. Oscar moves up onto the front row. He gets into the 1 minute 7s himself. Spicer just missing out on the 7s. He moves onto the second row of the grid, but goodness me, Renz Thomas, that is a stunning lap. And yet again, we said earlier this session, slowly but surely increasing his authority on his championship lead, and he puts in an utterly stonking lap time, and that could be that.
It could be. You're just looking at Joe Murphy, his championship rival, down. He's going to start 20th. They're going to be a sandwich between the two championship rivals in this race, because it's almost certain that Renz will be up. But saying that, Alpha Gully has a huge amount, 4/10 up in the first two sectors. It won't be enough to challenge Renz at the moment, but you never know. It could be enough to throw himself into the top 2, top 3 maybe, as Dirk goes second provisionally. Here comes Alpha Gully then through the Wall of Champions maybe clip the wall a little bit, but it's looking rapid, and across the line it's only going to be P5, but that's a very, very solid lap time from him.
Indeed is, and he has time through that final chicane. I just looked at it, I mean, you probably heard me just say no. I thought, yeah, he's just turned it a bit late. His line's a little bit compromised. Couldn't quite carry as much speed that I'd like through, through the middle part of the second part of that chicane. Kind of went a bit too all in on the first part and ran a little bit wide. So he has time. Does Alpha Gully? I mean, he has a lot of time. He said, what was it, 3-4 tenths he had, and he only improved by just over 2. So he can certainly get amongst. So they can certainly challenge Dirk for the front row, and then that is a little battle. You got going on with Dirk, Oscar, Spicer, Alpha Gully will want to get in the mix, and to be honest, anyone else, I'm sure a lot of these drivers can certainly, will think to themselves, yeah, I can go and find a couple tenths, and put myself on the front row of the grid, or something on the front 2 rows of the grid. So it's all to play for with that. It's just, can anyone challenge Renz? I don't know. I'm gonna say maybe. But that involves Renz not, improving again. That's the other thing. He's still got another 1 or 2 runs like this if he so wishes.
Well, the track is so short, isn't it? You've got at least, I think, 2 runs. Here comes Zinedine then, and I think those gaggle of cars coming out of the pits may have caused him a little bit of a headache. Again, not their fault that they're coming out of the pits at that time. It's just the ghosting thing we've got going on within... well, the F1 game at the moment, but he's up on his time. He's up on his time, which is possibly what he needs to do, but he's completely backed out now. He's gone, nope, I've made a mistake. I don't want to risk it.
Yeah, just a little bit wide through the first part, and then got a bit of a tank slapper on exit of that little chicane. So that lap's gone for Zinedine, and he'll have to probably come down pit lane and go again, but here comes everyone else then for a 3rd go at it. And let's see who's on a lap at the moment. Ryan just started his lap. Supply Raptor, was coming through the middle sector. I think that lap's gone indeed, as it's invalidated. Quantum's about to start a lap as well, as is Renz. Many laps going on all over the field.
You know what? We haven't... Brando down in 18th place. That's pretty low for him. It's not what we expect. A 109.3, maybe the Christmas breakers... or the festive break, maybe we could call it, I'm not sure, has not been kind to him in practice time. But
yeah,
you know what? That could be something we haven't touched on. Some of these guys might not have had a chance to practice. As Ryan is up 2/10 on his lap time, it's probably enough to throw into the battle for P6-7 with Owen and Volokongan.
Yep, indeed it is. Ryan will follow him on board to the line. The Aston Martin. How much of a run has he got? Here we go then, into the final chicane for the Aston Martin. Can he clip the curbs nicely? Oh, he's left a bit on the table, I'd say. It's clean, but he has left a bit on the table. Up to the line comes the Aston Martin. P5 goes NLR Ryan. What's everyone else up to? We have I think that's a Williams, is it, up to the line? No, it's Alpha Gully about to start a lap. We got, who's that? Is that Mercedes up to the line? Yes, it is. Oscar has invalidated. Anyone else on a lap?
Epic Fail's just about to come over the line. It's quicker. I don't think it's an... Oh, it is so close, but it's not close enough. As Gabble comes to play, the driver that we've not spoken about, we know how good what he was, NVR Gabble, before, but it is now Gabble. How good he is on qualifying and how quick he is in 1 lap pace. And he's just showed Renz, I'm here to stay.
Oh my, okay, sure, Gabor showed up to the party here in Canada. Renz Thompson's 3rd lap has gone. So we do have a battle for pole position. Renz is under a bit of a threat for the top step here tonight in Montreal. That's good to see, isn't it? With all due respect to Renz, it's nice to see a bit of a battle. He has competition, he's not going to have it all his own way. Is our championship leader. And yeah, Gabor has absolutely thrown a spanner in the works. A cat amongst the pigeons has the Hungarian, with just under 4.5 minutes remaining of this session. Can he hold on to pole position? Can Renz find something? Can anybody else find something further down the field? Ryderdal up onto the 2nd row of the grid in the Mercedes. Epic Fail obviously had briefly got up to head the 2nd row himself. Obviously that lap from Gabor displaces him to the head of the 2nd row. For Epic Vale, so we'll see if Epic Vale has anything to find as well, but it's all to play for. Maybe leading between Gabor and Renz for pole position, But in terms of, the second row, the third row, it is all to play for.
Yeah, we haven't seen the best of Alpha Gully yet either because they've
Yep.
invalidated, I believe, Owen invalidated, Dirk. And interestingly, Dirk and Ryder Dahl have put an extra installation lap, you could say, through all that to set their best times, I believe, which is an interesting strategy here at Canada. I suppose it's, well, all things said and done, the lobby's going to get reset, isn't it? So they will have fresh tyres for the race. So maybe that they feel they're more comfortable.
Who knows? Who knows what's... I mean, it's... I don't know, probably not something I'd do. I mean, yeah, Rydal into the pit lane. Supply Rap is actually on a lap. In that RB, he got balked, or well, he balked himself on this first attempt. Let's see what he can do through the front. That is well, to be fair, he's got it absolutely perfectly as Supply Raptor. I thought he'd cut it. He's got it to perfection as the RB, and he's going to launch himself right inside the top 10. He must have had a choke of time with that final chicane because he got it to absolute perfection. It's the thing with that final chicane. You have to cut it, and it allows you to cut it. Does the track limits. It's always been the case with that final chicane throughout the F1 games that final chicane, you can just absolutely cut the first part. And well, Supply Raptor demonstrated it perfectly then, and has found enough time to put himself inside the top 10, has the RB. But now it is crunch time. We've just got over 2 minutes remaining here in qualifying. Can anyone challenge Gabor or Renz, or is it going to be down between the pair of them? We'll find out in just over a couple minutes' time.
Well, we've got 2 minutes. Who's going to be pole? That's the question I ask you now. Chat, you've got it as well. But yeah, Leopard, who's going to take pole tonight?
I mean, it's got to be one of the top two. I'm going to say Gabor's going to keep hold of it, which is foolish to bet against Renz, but I'm going to.
Fair enough. You know what? I think
What about you?
Maybe Epic Vale will surprise us through there because Zinedine has just he's just pulled out of his lap. He's not happy. Here comes Alpha Gully then. They're 10th at the moment. And have they pulled out of their lap as well?
Yes, but they'll be able to go again.
That's interesting. A lot of this, pulling out of laps happening at the moment. Second installation laps, you name it, I suppose. Let's go on board with the man that is our championship leader that could very well take pole position away from Gabor tonight. He's slightly up on his lap time. It's enough. That will be enough to take provisional pole.
Here we go then, Renz. What have you got? Through the middle sector, DRS enabled. Braking just after the Qatar Airways bridge. Now then through the chicane. Oh, so tricky with the track limits. And now it's the run up to the hairpin for the Haas of Renz Thompson. How much he's got in his back pocket? He's lost a bit of time. He's a couple hundreds down. Now it is all down to this last sector. Good exit out of the hairpin. Looks tidy to me. Overtake on. DRS will be enabled right about now. And now up to 8th gear as he charges down this mini bus up the hill, then a little bit down the hill. Now we head into the final chicane. What's it going to be for that strawberry? Maximum commitment through the final chicane for the championship leader. What's it going to be for Renz Thompson? Is it a provisional pole? It is! He's found a huge amount of time. A 10th and a half with the last sector. Gabor's up a little bit, is he? Well, he was. Now he's a 10th down. Now it is down to the Alpine of Gabor to find something in the final sector.
What a qualifying that is for Renz so far. But Gabor, it's over to you. Volokongan's thrown themselves up into 3rd place for the time being. But Gabor, can he do the same commitment into the Wall of Champions corner? It looks like it, but he's invalidated. Epic Vale, where are you? You are exactly where you kind of need to be as long as you've got the hairpin absolutely perfect. But I don't know if he's found, if it will be 2.5 tenths he can find into the Wall of Champions. Perfect pretty much from Epic Vale, but there is a little bit slide back over and across the line. He's staying P4. Renz is going to be the man, surely, to claim provisional pole. Qualifying is over. It's just ready for these guys to finish their laps.
Indeed it is. Dirk will be the next one to cross the line in the McLaren. How well can he get the chicane? He's certainly at the very least tidy for the McLaren up to the line. Where can he put it? Ahead of the second row. That's a good time from TF10 Dirk in the McLaren. It's a solid lap time, in fact, from the McLaren. anyone else on a lap time good enough. Ryan backs out of his, and I think that is that. So Rens Thomason proves me wrong, does get pole position, does our championship leader with a ridiculous final sector, displaces Gabor at the top of the timing screens. But it'll be encouraging for Gabor that he was there in that qualifying session, and he should be able to challenge in the race, especially with the DRS and slipstream. But yet again, Rens just has a tenth or so. We saw it in Zandvoort, we saw it in Hungary, just has that little bit extra in raw speed in qualifying, does the Dutchman, and he's delivered it once again here tonight.
He has indeed. It's Rens from Gabor, Dirk, Volakongen, Epic Vale, Enzo, Ryder Dahl, Oscar, Brando, Spicer, Ryan, Quantum, Supply Raptor, Alpha Gully down in 14th, Owen in 15th, Moustache 16th, Hazara 17th, and 18th is, this is testing my brain, Zinedine, Andrea in 19th, and then unfortunate for Joe Murphy, who is serving a qualifying ban. That is where it is there. Over to the standings again, and just to show, look at that, wow. He's got a bit of a margin already. What's that, 22 points over Joe Murphy. They are the two championship rivals at the moment, and everyone else is sandwiched between them in this qualifying.
Yeah, Joe Murphy saying that is, well, it's quite literally the worst news possible if you're Joe Murphy. You're already, 24 odd points down to your championship leader. You've got a quali ban, so you're starting at the back of the field, and your championship leader's just put it on pole position with the most ridiculous, English. That's not English. One of the most ridiculous last sectors you'll ever see. There we go, got there in the end. Yeah, it is far from good news if you're Joe Murphy, and he has a lot of work to do, and a lot of luck is going to need to go his way. Because quite frankly, he needs to at least take points out of Rens tonight if he wants to stand a chance. And that is, well, quite literally one of the most difficult tasks it could be at this moment in time.
Yeah, that looks a little bit damning, unfortunately, for Joe Murphy. But Gabor's up there as well. But let's have a look at the console calendar. 3 rounds remaining. Canada tonight, Austria and Sao Paulo are the next 2 races. And, well, very similar to Canada, aren't they? Short, nippy, quick circuits.
Yep, indeed. It's a trio of the kind of small, quick circuits, as you said. A lot will happen. Of course, Austria will, I guess, be its own kind of unique challenge. With those 3 kind of back-to-back DRS straights that you get on the run up to 1, then on the run up to 3, and then 4, followed by the kind of quick, kind of a downforce favored, if you will, middle sector. Kind of difficult to kind of judge which way to set up the car otherwise, because you've got that middle sector, but then I think you would want to at the very least favour it towards the straight line speed, just simply with the way of the those 3 DRS zones. And of course, Sao Paulo, you've got that huge climb up the hill into the center S's, then the run down to turn 4 before it gets kind of tight and twisty through the middle sector. So yeah, as you mentioned, along with Canada, a couple of very small, quick, fast-paced circuits to round off the season, and we'll see what kind of effect that has on the championship, if any. Right now, it's going to need to play a huge role as far as Rens Thomason and Joe Murphy are concerned.
Yeah, let's look back at the standings and just talk about that 4th place man who everyone kind of thought would be the champion by the end of it. They were putting the money on Cameron Dowd, but unfortunately, the guy has broken some fingers.
Indeed, he has. We can find it in the Tier 1 chat somewhere. What exactly happened to the Scotsman? Yeah, I'll find in a second. But yeah, look. I mean, in general for Cameron Dowd, it's not been a kind season to him. For the Scotsman, and yet again, he's gonna have to go again the following season, because obviously with the no-show here tonight, that is as good as done. And quite frankly, we are down to 2 or 3. We really are looking at Renz versus Joe Murphy. Gabor will still have an outside shot at the title. But realistically, we are looking at Joe Murphy and Renz Thomason at this moment in time. Of course, a lot can change come the end of the 35 laps here tonight. But yeah, shame for Cameron Dowds. Not been a great season, unfortunately, by his standards. There was a lot of promise, and yeah, it's a shame that it's kind of come down to this, unfortunately. I'm still trying to find what exactly happened. There you go. Playing on ice is what the man himself says.
Oh dear.
Yeah, I mean, it has been rather chilly here in the UK, and it must be utterly Baltic up there in Scotland. I mean, also we've had minus temperatures here, so I can't believe what it would be up there in Scotland. Probably like minus.
It's their summer.
Maybe.
But yeah, it's so unfortunate for Cameron. But yeah, it's the baton has been handed over to Joe Murphy, really, hasn't it? And some of the decision making of Joe Murphy this season, losing those points last week and not last week, last race.
Long week.
Yeah. Yeah, tell me about it. Yeah, it's and some other incidents, and not saying that the BRT drivers would work together, but there's no Justin, there's no Tech tonight. Even if he wanted to call on friendships and teammates, he can't because they're not there. It's going to be a tough one, and Renz at the moment is, Givador has put it in the chat. I mean, if you aren't picking Renz, you are defo brave. Yeah, I mean, we went for someone else because I think we thought, we
wanted to be fun.
Yeah, but yeah, he has been absolutely insane at the moment.
Yeah.
The race is just about to start. The race will be starting soon. If Renz doesn't win, who's going to win?
If not Renz, then who? Well, let's have a look at the grid, shall we? I mean, look, I think looking at that qualifying, you would have to say Gabor. It will obviously be the next logical driver, but a lot can happen. I'll throw it out there. If not Reds, I'm going to go with a Volokongan victory. Why not?
I'd like to see that happen. Like to see the Ferrari of Volokongan on top. You know what? If not Renz, it's Gabble.
Yeah.
As long as he can keep it.
Realistically, it is. Realistically, that is.
I mean, Gabble messed up on his final qualifying lap, but I don't think it was enough to really challenge Renz at the end. But let's talk about Joe Murphy and how far do we think he can get up the grid?
I mean, for someone of Joe Murphy's talent, they could go as far as you get. Well, we'll get onto that in a bit, shall we? Because we've got 5 red lights.
We have 5 red lights. The Canadian Grand Prix and WOR is go, and it looks like a lot of the drivers are on a hard compounder tyre, but Renz has absolutely flown into it. Volokongan fighting away with Dirk for P3 at the moment, and I think Volokongan has actually claimed that position. He's up into 3rd place. That's a great start for Volokongan.
Good start for the Ferrari driver up into P3. Now it's just a case of can they keep with the front 2, because if they're not careful, these 2 going off qualifying could easily pull away. Renz Thomason with a bit of a slide through the middle sector. That's going to encourage Gabor a little bit. Renz maybe a little bit vulnerable. Those hard tyres not up to temperature. Saying that, Gabor completely runs wide. Well, maybe not completely, but runs a little bit wide himself, and that gives Renz a little bit more of an advantage. Back up to half a second for the Haas driver, for our championship leader. Oh, what's going further back there? That's a huge lunge from Dirk on Volokongan. They're ghosting at this moment in time. Not sure what happened down in the hairpin, but Dirk went for a bit of a lunge, and now himself and Volokongan going side by side. Epic Vale with the best seat in the house to witness it all. Volokongan does keep on the P3, and now if they're really not careful, they're going to allow the front 2 to get away. But here we go then, Red's leading at the end of lap 1.
Yeah, what we kind of suspected, but Dirk's got to be careful. He can't allow that to happen, really, because you want to be keeping up with the top two to make sure your pace is up there and you don't break the train. Look at that. It's already eking on a second between Volokongan and Gabor, and this could be problematic for everyone on the grid behind Volokongan, because Renz and Gabor have got the pace just to run away. Epic Veil just behind. The third and fourth is probably not going to enjoy that at all.
No, Epic Veil didn't quite get the start he wanted. Probably the one driver that you could say throughout qualifying was maybe, just maybe, had a little bit more than everyone else, but not quite as enough as, you know, the front two. But he's down to fifth. He's got a bit of work to do from there. Here we go then. Into the hairpin for the second time around. Out of 35, gap stabilising a little. That's Ryderdal up the inside of Epic Veil into the hairpin himself. Epic Veil on the outside line will get a little bit of a better drive. Wasn't forced onto the curb totally. DRS enabled, and Epic Veil does keep hold of P5 for now, but he looks like he's getting a little bit beat up at the start of this Grand Prix is the Williams. Yeah,
he again, another driver that doesn't have his teammate anywhere near him. As usual, usually they work quite well together, the two Williamses, but Alpha Gully down in the 14th place at the moment. Volokongan managing just to hold that gap and maybe showing that he's got the pace. I think the slipstream will help him get that, but he has got the fastest lap for the time being. Everyone looking like a one-stop, hard to medium, but you can get away with a hard to soft here, can't you?
Can you? I wouldn't know. I'm sorry. That's the kind of thing I meant to know, but I don't. Sorry, guys. Up down Joe Murphy, up to P17. He's made up a couple of positions. Has the kick Sauber. Better than nothing for the kick Sauber at this moment in time. He'll have to slowly but surely get through the field. Going to be precise, going to be efficient. It's the kick Sauber. He looks a little bit ragged, a little bit all over the shop. Does the kick Sauber at the moment. Not looking tidy whatsoever. He's going to have to clean that up. Oh, there we go, up the inside, up Supply Raptor into there, but much later on the brakes, and there you go, that's another position for the kick Sauber, up to P16. Hazara is up next, back up towards the front, is Ren's defending. He's not just defending, he's being overtaken. Gabor leads the Canadian Grand Prix at the end of lap 3.
Gabor doing everything he needs to do, as I believe I'm going to miss Joe Murphy. Oh no, Joe Murphy hasn't attacked Hazara as I thought he would do. Epic Veil now the fastest man on the track. Ryan and Quantum squabbling away for P12 as we watch Renz and Gabor, the two drivers really, well, the ones to watch in this one with Volokongan just behind, who's just picked up a 3-second time penalty on lap 4, which is not ideal for him, as Jivador in the chat says, who is not getting 3 seconds at the end of this race? Anyone could. I think a chance everyone can.
That's the better question to ask. Who's not going to have a 3-second penalty come the end of this Grand Prix? This track, arguably the most notorious for track limits on the entire calendar, is Montreal. There you go. Hazara gets a second one in quick succession. It's only lap 4, and I think this is going to be the theme of this Grand Prix, or certainly a theme of this Grand Prix. Yet again, Renz and Gabor nearly breaking the DRS to Volokongan, but not quite. So Volokongan keeps DRS. Here comes Renz Thomason. No. Decides against it, doesn't fancy it on this occasion, and he'll slide behind the Alpine of Gabor here at the end of lap 4 of 35. Joe Murphy's lost DRS to Hazara.
Interesting. Epic Veil again beating his fastest lap, and both Ferraris have a penalty, something I wanted to say, but I think Hazara may have, Hazara picked up a 3-second time penalty there. Maybe he cut a corner a bit too much because he's caught Alpha Gully by a fair whack of time. So maybe there was a bigger corner cut than we expected off that one. But Renz, stick it. Well, actually, credit to Volokongan. He's the gap nearly was broached, but he's pulling it back again.
Yeah, better lap this time for Volokongan. Gap down half a second for the Ferrari. That's a much safer gap. I was never one myself to kind of let it get up to 8, 9, 10, so I'd be getting a little bit panicked! Oh, dearie me, that's a huge, well, not a huge accident. Well, it is a huge accident. Ryderdal into the back of the Mercedes, I think it was, and there's more contact further back with the other McLaren and Brando. So a disastrous couple corners for Ryderdal. Try and remember what happened. I think we went to the back of Dirk into the hairpin. That's allowed Epic Veil up to 4th place. All manner of chaos at the hairpin, and it's all gone wrong for Ryderdal.
Wow, Renz now setting the fastest lap after taking the lead away from Gabor, as we missed the action there because of the incident. As Ryderdal and Owen fighting away for P10 side by side as they come through turn number 2. as Owen, I think, has the move done on the Mercedes man as they head into 3 and 4. My goodness me, that is a terrible last sector for Ryder Dahl.
Yeah, indeed. I didn't quite. It happened so quickly. I didn't quite see what had happened. Who went to the back of who, and then there was another collision with Brando on exit when he was trying to, get himself back going again. Just a very, very messy hairpin on that time around for Ryder Dahl and a couple others involved. I think the 2 McLarens, not ideal if you're any of those guys. But Rens Thomason looking like he might be slowly but surely trying to pull the pin, although 6/10's nowhere near enough, certainly not in this game, to even thinking about pulling the pin. And just like that, here comes Gabor, not even using any ERS in the slipstream DRS, and there you go. Gap, slice the gap in half, down to a couple tenths, and he's safely in that DRS range. Is the Alpine. The first break of the DRS train has, well, happened. Enzo to Spicer. Spicer 1.6 seconds behind Enzo in the Aston Martin and Red Bull respectively. So it's a 7-car train for the lead here in Montreal. That is your leading group at this moment in time, unless Spies or anyone else can get ahead and breach that gap, or if we get a safety car, which is also plausible here in Montreal. But for now, it's a train of 7 for the lead of this Grand Prix.
That is indeed, and an update on Joe Murphy. He has no front left end plate, which is
well, that's
not
why he's struggling.
Ideal, especially at a track like this. So he's dropping down. Hazara picks up another penalty, not ideal for the Ferrari man in 15th place. It looks like Gabor's ghosting. That's an interesting one. Yellow flag, and that is Andrea, I think, at turn 1, making a mistake. He's going to be lapped soon if he's not careful. Not a happy return to the new year for the PGR man there, down in 20th place, as Ryder Dahl getting back through the field as Alpha Gully passed by Hazara there as well. Picking up a penalty for troubles
as well. There you go. Wasn't on board with it at the time, but yeah, Alpha Gully. Another 3-second penalty. Take that one off. That's another driver with a penalty. That's what we are. 4 down, 7 or so to go before it's over half of them with pens. And so in lap 8, there you go, making a 5th. Owen with a 3-second penalty. The counter keeps on rising for the penalty count here in Montreal. And Joe Murphy down to P19, and it's getting worse and worse for the Kick Sauber, and this could be the end of his title charge for WR season 19. It is not going according to plan for Joe Murphy. Yeah, he's been consistent, kind of all season, and by consistent, he had consistent top 5s to start the season, which have put him in a position. But these past couple rounds, it's just slowly but surely gone away from him. Meanwhile, here comes Gabor then. Gabor leads the way once again. He takes lead from Rens Thomason at the end of lap 8 at 35. He's back into the lead. It's the Alpine, and these two could swap positions for the entirety of this Grand Prix if they want to, and I think they will. Up at the front, Epic Vale in 4th place, 3rd after penalty. Supply Raptor picks up a penalty as well. Volkongen 3rd on the road, Epic Vale 3rd after penalties. Sticking with them though, which is good to see.
For the time being, and this second train, Ryder Dahl actually has a big push away from Brando in this second train, the battle for P8. But the pace that Gabor or Renz are doing are bringing the others along, which we could see this gap from 7th to 8th increase quite a bit at this rate.
Yeah, I mean, with the DRS and slipstream, it's kind of one of those things that can also only get bigger, really, because I've said it a few times this season where you're doing everything you can. You see Ryder Dahl, he's gained a couple tenths. Oh, Moustache has gone off, and there you go. There's a safety car. That'll shake things up potentially. That gives Joe Murphy a bit of a lifeline. He'll be able to go in and change his front wing. So that's Joe Murphy back in, and surely I was about to say, you kind of have to pit here, don't you? You're not going to turn down a free safety car. Ryder Dahl, that's not good news. 10-second penalty for ignoring yellow flag, and yet everyone's surely going to be in the pits for a set of medium compound tyres.
Yeah, that is... mediums I don't think will go to the end, so we might see this into a set 2 stop. A medium to soft maybe, or maybe a medium if for track position. Some people might want that. We will wait and see. Gabor will lead the race and be behind the first driver behind the safety car. Oscar, I think, has lost the position to Dirk, and look at that, Ryder Dow all the way down to 18th place because of that 10-second penalty.
Indeed, but at least he's been able to serve it, which is kind of the only saving grace, because obviously sometimes he wouldn't have been able to serve it, and then that would have been curtains if, if he's lurking in the train with a 10-second penalty to his name. At least that is, been and gone. He can, crack on with no penalties looming over his head for the rest of this Grand Prix fight. Doesn't, go and pick up any track limit penalties, which is likely. I mean, for the sake of it, let's have a look. How many warnings has Rydell picked up in that Mercedes so far? Well, there you go. He's one warning off. So he is treading on eggshells for the rest of this race. Is Rydell when it comes to track limits? So I think we can scrap that. He probably will end up with a 3-second penalty for track limits somewhere along the line. But you never know. Might be able to keep it clean. Certainly doable. But incredibly difficult to keep it, within the white lines for 25 laps here in Montreal. Andrea's also allowed Andrea back into the race, who also actually is on a set of hard tyres. So he will be able to go to the end if he so wishes. Could play in his favour. Maybe.
I'm wondering if anyone will play the game of going back onto that set of hards. Obviously, Andrea did because they pitted early for damage repair, I believe. But no one's playing the game of throwing themselves back onto a set of hards. At this point, which is interesting to say the least. But hopefully, under the safety car, we won't get any more penalties come through for the drivers, which will put the average penalty per lap down a little bit, which will help.
Yes, for sure. I think that the main reason will be this: the pit lane is, or the pit delta is quite small. One of the shortest on the calendar. So it does make, even under full green flag running, certainly on previous games, it made a 2-stop viable. And I think that's potentially why it's kind of like, well, might as well just use, 2 soft sets of tyres, make the most of them on a safety car restart, pull out a gap, and then, now I'm going to have fresher, softer tyres once again for a second stint. So I think when you look at it that way, it would make sense to, at the very least, do, come in again, even if it is green flag, for another set of mediums or even a soft tyre for the rest of this Grand Prix if they can't go to the end.
Well, they probably will wait for Andrea to catch back up to the end before the safety car comes in. Which means, like you say, another lap under the safety car, which the drivers will have to worry about the tyre temperature in this. Make sure they don't overheat the tyres, but also don't let it get too cold.
Yes, for sure. I mean, I think at these speeds overheating is not going to be an issue, but the key is not to take too much unnecessary wear out of them to keep, when you're trying to keep them up to temperature, not taking any unnecessary wear out of the tyres. More the issue on that, or of course, let them go cold. Of course, at this stage, it's kind of, you might as well just keep the tyres saved for the time being. It's more in the second half of that, because I think we can be pretty certain that we're going to see the safety car come in at the end of this lap. So they'll have, how many laps is that? Around 22, 23 laps of green flag running. If provided there isn't another safety car. Just thinking, could the mediums get that far? Maybe not. It might be more beneficial to come in again, especially bearing in mind the pit delta time. So yeah, should see the safety car in at the end of this lap, and it'll be interesting to see if anyone's able to break the train once again. Because of course that's the other thing. Also, we had it was initially a train of 7. Now that's all bunched back up again.
Definitely, and that only broke because of the incident between Ryder Dahl and the McLaren, of the second McLaren of Brando coming in. So safety car in. I mean, back in your days of racing, when would you decide to start again at Montreal?
It's a good question. It'd probably somewhere down the straight somewhere. I wouldn't leave it as crazy late. Probably, obviously wait, safety car's in about now. Anytime now could be a good one. You got to, try and make the most of the run down towards the chicane, get a good run through the chicane, and be on your way. But Gabor leaving this a little bit later. He goes right about now. Yeah, Red certainly has been able to react in such a fashion that he's going to be under threat. And there you go. Gabor leads the way, and now we are back to green flag running. Volokog's on a good start, though.
No, and it looks like...
Vale.
I was going to say, yeah, it looked like Dirk up the inside of Epic Vale as they come through turn 1. Epic Vale will have the inside for 2. A little bit of elbows out between the two of them there. And Shazoo, Oscar, managing to take maybe a little bit of the advantage out of this. And that has allowed him to claim a position from Dirk, even though Dirk looked like he had the upper hand over Epic Vale.
Yeah, the kind of classic went for the move, but obviously vulnerable if it goes wrong, and it did for Dirk. Couldn't quite get the move done, and that allowed Oscar to slip up the inside, got caught in a bad position, did the McLaren, and yeah, Oscar took full advantage in the Mercedes, and is up to P5 in the Silver Arrow. Dirk back down to P6, and now he's under threat from Enzo, the Red Bull. Enzo looking to the outside, into the hairpin. Who's going to be later on the brakes? Enzo lets off the brakes to try and go around the outside, but Dirk had levelled him on the in the initial phase, and will keep hold of P6 for the time being. Obviously no DRS on this time around, so it should be fairly single file into the chicane. Enzo's right up behind Dirk, but again, nothing doing so far for the Red Bull.
Yeah, they're not worried about breaking, having a break in the train at the moment, are they? They're battling away, hammer and tongs, which is good to see, and pretty clean as well. And Enzo all over the back of Dirk, still trying to prove that he's capable of attacking the McLaren man at the top end of this one. Let's go to the leaders. Let's see what Renz is up to with Gabor. These two look absolutely unmatched at the moment.
Yes, indeed. They've looked, ever since. Of course, Renz looked, on it right from, the word go. And, Gabor, when he put in that lap time, looked like he was, going to be the one to go with him. And ever since then, that lap in qualifying, these two have just looked like they've had a little bit more in terms of raw pace over the rest of Phil Gabor. A little bit wide. That's going to allow Renz to run. I think Renz is just going to breeze on by here. There you go. He's into hot lap. DRS has got the slipstream, and this is going to be easy as you like for the championship leader, and he'll move back up into the lead this Grand Prix on lap 14 of 35. Renz Thomason leads the way once again in the Haas.
Well, we've mentioned it a lot of times. It just seems like these two will swap and change until the end, as the fastest lap goes down quite a lot because of obviously being on a medium compound of tyres now, and a little bit extra grip, a little bit extra pace to them. As I believe, was that another penalty that just came in for Zinedine? I'm not 100% sure, but that is now not 7 drivers with penalties, which is not ideal. I say that. Here comes Joe Murphy with one as well.
Yeah, not ideal for the Kickstabber. Dare I say, could have been coming. Just hasn't looked settled in that car, really. Not looking like he's got the pace here tonight. Missing a few apexes. Just not looking smooth, unfortunately, for the Kickstabber. Maybe the winter break has not done him any favours whatsoever. And any chances he might have had look to be very, very quickly disappearing for the Kickstabber of Joe Murphy. And it could be then all down to the Hungarian Gabor to even try and extend this fight to Brazil. But he's got a long way to go before he can do that. And, well, the first thing he needs to do is get ahead of Renz Thomason. There's another penalty, there's another. Oscar and Brando in quick succession. And then Renz with the fastest lap. I think, is that over half the field? I think it might be.
I think it is.
2, 6. As good as.
It's nuts, the battle that we're seeing between Zinedine and NLR Ryan at the moment. I think Alpha Gully was involved. And there's another penalty to Zinedine through turn number 3 there. And up the inside goes Ryder Dow on. It's just making it a little bit worse for the RB driver as Ryder Dow goes up into 14th place.
Yeah, Zinedine getting a little bit beaten up here on his WR debut. Not ideal for the RB. Not a good couple of corners, down to P15, couple of penalties to go with it. And it's very quickly, out of nowhere, becomes a race to learn from, a race to move on from, if you will, if you're Zinedine. Gabor, nowhere near close enough to be thinking about a move on Renz. Anyone else thinking about a move? Enzo on Dirk once again. These two doing battle. These two could be doing battle for the rest of this Grand Prix, although Enzo a little bit wide through the chicane. He's definitely not going to have the run to challenge Enzo down into one. We got Brando and Spicer also doing battle by the looks of things.
Yeah, they were side by side through turn 13 and 14.
Through the chicane.
Through the chicane. That was
my
ballsy from Brando. And Spicer held it in as well. And somehow they didn't. A little bit of a tail wag, which slowed them down, which allowed Owen to pull away. And Hazara nearly clipped nearly careered into the back end of Spicer. Very, very close, but they managed it.
Yeah, fair play. Go through the chicane and managing it fairly cleanly is no mean feat. So good job to the pair of them. Gabor a little bit closer this time to Rens Thomas. Unfortunately, now that penalty for Zinedine, this is quickly getting ugly. But then again, it is Canada, so these things can happen. Not sure if that's the line Gabor has been taking. He looks a little bit tighter on exit in comparison to Rens. Looks like he's squaring off the corner a little bit more. Is the Alpine. Not going to be close enough for a run or a lunge into the chicane. Can he get a good run through the chicane for a move into one? No, Rens gets a much better exit, and Rens will lead yet another lap in that Haas. And of course, as laps tick on by, the question will be, how far do we want to take these tyres? You know, do we want to take them to the end? Do we want to take them to a point where we can feel on ourselves softs? Or do we only want to put on another set of mediums? These questions the drivers will certainly be asking themselves, and then they'll be trying to figure out the answers and try and figure out, what is the best course of action to try and get the best possible result in this Grand Prix. And yeah, ourselves will slowly get answers to those questions in the next few laps or so.
Matteo seems to think that they will go to the end on the medium compounder tyres. It's not enough. There doesn't appear to be much point in going into the pits, is their opinion. We did see Zinedine go into turn one a little bit skew-whiff and nearly losing the position as Ryan and Alpha Gully. It is all happening a little bit through the exit of the hairpin. People getting much better back traction than someone else. Here goes Ryan on Hazara, and is Alpha Gully going to follow through? Hazara's being bullied there. That is a 3-second time penalty for Alpha Gully as well. Hazara is possibly going to get overtaken by Ryder Dahl.
Here we go, to the inside, into turn one. He'll turn to the outside of two for the Mercedes of Ryder Dahl, but can he get enough traction? Can he get enough of an exit? It looks like he has. Mercedes of Ryder Dahl taking full advantage. Up to P13 goes Mercedes on what you can maybe argue was a bit of a recovery drive at this moment in time. Obviously, he was once in, that leading group until it all unravelled for him at the hairpin. Rens leads the way from Gabor, from Volokongan. Epic Veil tucked in behind as well. In fact, Oscar tucked right up in behind. Epic Veil, these two are going to be potentially side by side on the run to the hairpin. Who's going to be later on the brakes? Oscar later on the brakes into the hairpin, but he's got the outside line. Epic Veil takes the line, and he does just that. Has the inside, and just about slots back into P4. Does the Williams. Volokongan thought was about to think about a move on Gabor for a second. He's tucked right behind the Alpine, is Volokongan, but nothing doing just yet. A little bit tentative through the chicane, and Gabor and Rens are safe for another lap.
Yeah, Volokongan showing a little bit of pace, a little bit more pace than he had on the hard compounded tyres. He seems to be a little bit more at home on the mediums. This is going to be interesting to see how it will all pound down. Eric Vale is his new name. Epic Vale, sorry, nearly clipped. Well, I think he did clip the wall of champions, but not enough to cause any damage, thankfully, and nothing lasting, I guess, is the best way to do it. Jividar, sorry, in the chat is saying that doesn't believe it. I'm guessing doesn't believe anyone's going to be going into the pits because they would need DRS to catch up, and the way the DRS is going at the moment. I mean, if no one pit, or if only one person pits, then I can get that. But if maybe two or three, cat amongst the pigeons and all that, maybe it'll get the engineers thinking.
Yeah, for sure. I guess you could argue it is kind of one of those where your best bet is just stick with the crowd. Don't try and be a hero, if you will. And there's a reason these front guys could potentially stay out. I think it's certainly not worth being the odd one out to come in. It might be worth taking a gamble of being the odd one out to stay out, potentially. That could be worth it. If it comes down to, of course, we're probably going to know If it's mediums, we will probably know in the next few laps or so. And I guess softs won't be, just there'll be too little time remaining, so it won't be worth it. So, we'll have to wait and see. Ren's with a little bit of a slide as we enter Sector 2. Allows Gabor and Co to close up that little bit more. And we might be able to see a move here at the end of lap 21 down into the chicane if Gabor is close enough.
Joe
But
Murphy
Volkongen
has thrown a Hail Mary and gone into the pits for a fresh set of mediums.
he needs a gamble, doesn't he? I think that, yeah, realistically, yeah. He needs something, and he needs to do something to Joe Murphy. Meanwhile, here's Volkongen, here's Gabor. So Gabor to the inside of Rens Thomason. Volkongen could have made the move, decided against it. Could have made the move on Rens if he wanted to. And in fact, he might make it down into turn 1. Here comes Volkongen in the prancing horse. Goes Volkongen, he'll be to the outside of Rens Thomason. He'll turn to the inside of turn 2. Rens gives Gabor a little bit of a bump and run through turn 2, and that allows Volkongen to slide between the pair. Rens Thomason is down to P3 on the road. He still holds P2 after penalties, but here comes Epic Vale. Is Epic Vale going to think about a lunge into 7? No, thinks better of it for the time being, but Rens Thomason is under threat. He's down to P3.
This is very, very interesting because we haven't seen Gabor or Rens punished or not punished or just even had to answer any questions, but all of a sudden Volkongen and Epic Vale, more Volkongen, has just gone
Epic Vale! Oh, it's never so tight. Sneaks it up the inside, does Epic Vale. Rens will have the exit, but there you go. Rens is under threat, he's under pressure. He's the championship leader. Those behind are pulling the pin, they're forcing the hand of Rens Thompson. Here comes Volkongen to the outside. Volkongen takes the lead into the far chicane on lap 22 of 35, and this race has utterly burst into life. Here comes Epic Vale on Rens into turn number 1. Has he got the move done? He's later on the brakes. He has got it done. No, he hasn't. Rens is back up the inside into 2 somehow. How's he done that? Contact between the pair. More contact. How have they not ended up in defence? I have no idea. But Epic Vale, after a bit of argy-bargy, ends up into P2 on the road. It's P3 on the road. P2 after penalties. Goodness me, this race has exploded into life.
It has indeed. Owen, is he coming out in front of Joe Murphy and Ryder Dahl from the pits positions? He has done. Joe Murphy has caused a little bit of a question as he picks up a yellow 10-second penalty. That's an interesting one. What's going on there? Maybe the stewards will get rid of that one. But yeah, Joe Murphy, Owen, it's 15 seconds between Owen and the grid ahead. Although he does have Spicer. Let's go to the leaders. Owen is 23 seconds behind Volkongen. Andrea with another 3-second time penalty. Yeah, this is going to be interesting. Let's see if Owen, Joe Murphy and Ryder Dahl have extra pace on those fresh tyres.
Yeah, we'll have to keep an eye on that gap. Here comes Joe Murphy to the outside. Here comes Ryder Dahl. Oh, splits the pair of them. Goodness me! What on earth was that? I mean, it's bravery at its finest. He goes in between Joe Murphy and Owen before the far chicane. Owen was a little bit barged out of the way, if you will. Looked a little bit rough. Hopefully no damage between the pair, but certainly a brave one for Ryder Dahl to attempt. Goes in between Joe Murphy and Owen. He's up to P30. Now he's going to be the man to dictate the pace, to try and reel in the train ahead. And realistically, this is going to come down to probably one thing and one thing only. How far can the mediums go? How far will they drop off initially? If they can hold pace, they should be okay. But if there is a drop off, if they do hit any extreme time where then the chasers behind of Ryder Dahl and Joe Murphy are going to be reeling them in lap by lap, second by second, and it'll be all to play for. But for now, all they can do is hope that they run out of tyres ahead. Meanwhile, Reds has got back past Epic Vale on the exit of the chicane.
Yeah, mistake from Epic Vale there. He's seen him struggle a little bit on the exit of turn 14 on the Wall of Champion, and now Ren's trying to get himself back into the swing of things. Volkongen has done a very good job of leading this Grand Prix since he just came pretty much out of nowhere and attacked Gabor and Rens and Joe Murphy now the fastest man on the track. It's 21 seconds, well, 22 pretty much, between him and the leader, Volokongan. So the time isn't coming down as quickly as he would have hoped, but we haven't seen the end of the line. Well, we haven't seen the tyres of these top 12 start to come away from them yet. They're still going through it. Here comes Dirk on Oscar. Is that going to be a move up the inside? No, outside of the hairpin of turn 10, and it's had to pull out in the end. But, well, it's not over. Volokongan is actually controlling this race really well.
Yeah. If it wasn't for his penalty, it'd be... My prediction might have been a very good one if it was for the 3-second penalty that he got literally within the first couple laps. But since then, he has been relentless. He's been consistent. Has Volokongan, and yeah, literally not a single warning since. So whatever happened in those first couple laps, he's put it to one side and has gone on with it. Has the Ferrari, and he's done a good job in getting to the lead. And now he's got the lead. He's controlling it. Looks comfortable.
It looks like Ryderdal and Joe Murphy have found a little bit of a rhythm. Gabble struggling a little bit. Ryderdal, fastest man on the track. But yeah, Gabble now struggling a little bit with Rennes behind. He hasn't got an answer to Volokongan in the lead of this Grand Prix. And now it's too late to pit for these guys. I think these guys have to stay out, or otherwise they're going to lose positions to the guys that have pitted.
Yeah, I think the only reason you think you can get ahead, you pit now is you think you can get ahead of those that you've been undercut by with the fresher tyres. It's the only reason. Obviously, you also believe that you can reel the front guys in. But yeah, it does look like it's going to be a bit of a tyre wear race at the end of this Grand Prix. How far can the mediums go? How far can they go whilst keeping a decent pace? Because those two don't necessarily mean the same thing. A tyre can maybe go so far, but to the point where it drops off could be a bit earlier, to the point where it's not useful, if you will, or drops half a second or even a second. Can happen a lot earlier, to the point well before puncture territory, if you will. That is plausible, and I think that's what the likes of Joe Murphy, the likes of Ryderdal and Owen are all relying on. That the drop off of this tyre is huge. Of course, they'd very much welcome, if they hit puncture territory as well, because those two will go hand in hand. Yeah, lots of ifs and buts. We'll probably get more of an inclination about what could happen in a few laps' time.
Into the hairpin for Rennes, Gabble and Volokongan. But Joe Murphy and Ryderdal working perfectly together to get themselves into a swing of things. It's now 18 seconds between them and Volokongan. It's coming down faster, maybe not as quickly as they need it to be, but it's definitely faster now. They've thrown the dice, they've thrown the chaos card, you could say, as well as Rennes pushing Gabble through the final chicane. Well, no more words really, but Ryderdal, and look at that perfect synergy, I suppose, between Ryderdal and Joe Murphy.
Yeah, Ryderdal now leads the way once again in this kind of train the chasing pack on fresher, I was about to say softer, no, it's the same set of tyre, a fresher set, a medium tyre, about 13 or so laps fresher they have at their disposal, depending on when you came in, and yeah, working together perfectly, making use of the DRS and slipstream, and yeah, Ryderdal once again now, the one who's going to be doing the chasing through the corners, dragging Joe Murphy. Oh, mistake though, that's not going to help at all. Huge mistake from Ryderdal through turn 7-8. That's going to surely allow Joe Murphy to make a move. It does, but more importantly, it's more unnecessary time lost to the cards ahead. Obviously, that gap is, as you can see now, it's 8.2. We're probably talking what could have been 7.2 or at least 7.5 or something. Here comes Gabor and Volokongan, ever so close to the back of the Ferrari. They're also close to the back of each other. His friend's going to be thinking about a move into one. I think he might be.
And into turn one, he backs off. They're just happy for the time being. They know if they fight, if they battle too much, it will be, as Owen gets past Joe Murphy as well through all this. That's problematic for Joe Murphy. But yeah, if they fight too much, it takes more life out of their tyres. And yeah, it will allow this second group of cars to really become a problem.
Yep, indeed it will. Just having a look at the penalty count. It's rare that we have a look at it these days, but Gabor is one warning away from a 3-second penalty. Renz, remarkably, miraculously, hasn't even picked up a single warning, has the Haas driver, which is incredible when you consider the circuit we're at. Outrageous consistency from the Dutchman, from the championship leader. But for now, Gabor has used up his 2 warnings rather well. Don't pick up a third one. And keep ahead of Renz, and it won't matter how consistent, how clean Renz has been. He will be able to fish ahead of him and reel him in the championship, although he's a little bit wide. He's going to be vulnerable potentially into turn 1 once again. But a bit of battery usage will keep Renz at bay for yet another lap. Epic Vale also will be thinking about a move on Renz Thomason. How much would Gabor love for Epic Vale to get amongst it and get past Renz Thomason and just put a car in between himself and the championship leader?
He will need it's the points that he will be hoping. He would probably be looking behind and going, right, I want Epic Vale, Oscar and Dirk to get past. But I think Christmas is well and truly gone for Gabor. He won't be able to ask for all of those presents, but he might be able to get Epic Vale through. Epic Vale has looked a bit tasty, and he has got through past Renz before. But Renz...
It's a lunge! It's a lunge into the hairpin. There's a bit of contact. He sticks his nose in. Does the Williams from Epic Vale. He keeps it alongside. Does he? Into or down the back straight? No. Renz Thomason gets the drive, and now is he thinking about a move on Gabor into the chicane? No. Again, does what he needs to do to defend from Epic Vale, and then turns it all back down, and will now look to recharge the battery to then go and attack Gabor at a later day. But Epic Vale has been willing to make that move a couple times, has been able to get enough alongside to really put Renz under any major threat of losing position. He's just been able to kind of, give him the space, drive it around the outside, get the exit, get the power down and go. Hasn't been able to kind of force him into any sort of trouble, has Epic Vale as of yet, but he's at least showing a willingness, to stick his nose in, to make a move, which is what Gabor wants. That's what you want to see from Epic Vale. If he is going to get past Renz, at first, if you're going to make the move, you got to try and make the move. You got to try and stick your nose in, try and make the car ahead uncomfortable. Slow him down, balk him a little. At the very least, at the very least, that's a viable way of doing things. To make a lunge, maybe not say to make a move, but to slow the car ahead down to get disrupt its rhythm. It's another way of doing things. But Epic Vale, meanwhile, is under threat from Oscar into the chicane.
Let's see how it goes. He's defended it quite nicely, I think, back onto the racing line. But Epic Vale did make that move originally at turn 10 with a little bit of a dive up the inside there on Renz. Well, when he did get past all those laps ago, it feels like an age ago now that these guys were battling away. Spicer and Alpha Garley trading places there. Owen has pulled a 1.5 second gap to Ryder Dahl behind, which is not ideal for their chase. And I think that chase is over for those guys. Lap 32 or 35, these medium runners. It was worth a punt for those ones. They were down the back end of the field. And others might have followed. But the race engineers for the top guys held their guns, told them to stay, told these guys to stay out. But Volokongan still leading this Grand Prix. He has done an absolute epic job since he's put these mediums on.
Yeah, he's been solid as Volokongan. Really good drive, barring the 3-second penalty, really, for the Ferrari of Volokongan. It's a shame that it's probably going to be the incident that costs him a chance at a legitimate race victory. Best he can do is say, you know what, I might have got a penalty, but at least I won this thing on the road. A bit of a slide for Gabor. The exit of the chicane is not going to allow Renz to make a move. Hey, at the beginning of lap 33 into 1, no. Renz, again, a little bit too far back, but now it's going to be all about setting yourself up, putting yourself in a position. Joe Murphy with another penalty. That's him done. That's his title aspirations well and truly done and dusted. That is a nail in the coffin for Joe Murphy. It's probably looking like it's going to be between Renz and maybe Gabor. Maybe it is too little too late, and it is just a case of cruising to the finish line if you're Renz Thomason. But you can bet your bottom dollar that Gabor is going to make his life as difficult as possible.
Yeah, Gabor, he's been so quick, one lap pace, and Let's see if Renz
Here we
decides to go up
go.
the inside. He
Oh.
decides against it this time. Still lap 33 of 35, two and a bit laps left. Still time, and Renz he's got the luxury of it. He doesn't need to be ahead,
Here
but
we
he
go.
has the pace this time. Or has he? Has he got the pace? Is he? He's kind of backing off. He's kind of backing off from this. That's a very interesting take from Renz. He doesn't want to. He doesn't want to show his hand too early.
I don't know what. At first, was it just me that at first thought he was going to go for it, and then he kind of backed off? So it looked like he had overtake on and everything, and was right tucked up behind Gabor, and looked like he was going to, pull out and make the move. But in the end, he backed, decided against it. Maybe he wants to do it this time around. Who knows? It does look like he might just have a little bit more tie than anybody. Along with Volokonga, maybe Gabor maybe doesn't quite have as much tie. There you go. You can see the back end protesting, wanting to step out. Epic Veil's tires looked. That car looks like he's dancing a little bit. Although Epic Veil's car always looks like it's dancing. It looks like it's dancing on a qualifying lap sometimes if you're Epic Veil. But here we go then for the penultimate time. Run up to the hairpin. Is there a lunge from Renz into the hairpin? No. Thinks better of it. Thinks it's too far back, or certainly at this stage, not worth the risk. Penultimate time down the back straight for these guys. Now, this is all about setting yourself up. Where do you want to be? Where do you want to be positioned for the final lap here in Montreal?
I think they're just happy to be behind Volokongan, to be perfectly honest, because Vola is doing a wonderful job just holding them back. Does anything go into it? I think they just want to make it into turn 13, and that's when they make the move, just before 13. There's someone coming out of pits. I'm not 100% sure who that is. That's Ryan going for the fastest lap of the race, I think, which is very, very interesting. Epic Veil needs to do something now if he wants to think about a win here.
I think he's got the tyre.
But yeah,
I don't think he's got the tyre.
I don't think anyone's got the tyre other than Renz. Renz has managed. Maybe this is the managing aspect that he's done so well, but the back end slides a little bit. Very, very tough for all of them. This is going to be an epic final last lap.
Here we go then. Rubs the hairpin for the final time. Epic Veil is way too far back. It's between these three. It's Gabor thinking about a lunge. Renz looks to the outside of Gabor. Into the hairpin. It's Archie Bargy through the hairpin. Renz gets a little bit of a tank slapper on. That's him out of it. He's not win this Grand Prix. Gabor is safe from Renz down the back straight then. Here comes Gabor. He pulls out the slipstream. He pulls out the DRS. He will have to lead into the chicane. Don't pick a penalty. He hasn't. Gabor is going to win here in Canada. Gabor wins from eventually Renz Thomason from Epic Veil. Volokonga was second on the road. He'll be fifth after penalties. What a drive from Gabor. He keeps his championship aspirations alive. But Renz Thomason, yet again, he's on the podium. And it's a solid podium. And it's another step towards the title here in season 19.
That is incredible from Renz Thomason. And I wonder if he did beat Volokongan to the line. That's going to be an interesting... I think he did, I think it was on so close, but I think he did. But let's see Ryan just finish the lap. Andrea's finishing the lap as well, but Ryan's just wanting the fastest lap, which is fair play to him. What a drive from all those the top 5, top 6. I think Oscar for the majority of that was very, very good as well. Ryder Dahl throwing themselves into 8th place after a torrid first start of it. But here comes Ryan to finish Canada. And he has
got it. Well then, what a Grand Prix, eh? What a way to kick off 2025 for console.
Yeah, that's... the top 4, Epic Veil, Renz, Gabor and Volokonga. You know what? A great job from everyone, but Volokonga for me, I'm not even going to ask you. I'm just going to say for mine, a drive of the day, because he was absolutely incredible today. Fair play to him. But how about yourself? Who are you going for?
Drive of the day. Let's give it to Gabor, shall we? Or at least from my side. I mean, look, both. You can pick anyone realistically from that. Fight for the win. All those three. Renz, Gabor, Volokongan just looked like they had a level above everybody else. Epic Veil was happy to mix it in. But yeah, any of those 3 or 4 worthy of drive of the day. Yeah, Gabor, he's done a good job under pressure. Need to get a result, needed to go and beat Rennes, and he's gone and done it. And that's a good victory for the Hungarian here tonight.
Ryderdal not picking up penalties was a major point of his recovery drive, but it's Gabor, Rennes, Epic Vale as your podium sitters. Then it's Dirk, Follokongen, Oscar, Enzo, Ryderdal, Spicer, and Owen rounding out your point scoring positions. Alpha Gully finishing 11th, so close to points, but just not to be tonight. Supply Raptor, Brando, Hazara, Joe Murphy, Andrea, and Ryan rounding out the drivers that have finished. Quantum, Zinedine, and Moustache. Unfortunately for them, non-finishing, I should say, non-finishing for them. And wow, what a race! What a way to start 2025, as you quite rightly mentioned there, Leopard. But yeah, how do you break that race down? Because that medium run, that hard run, it just looked like Gabor and Rennes were just waiting to pull away, and then the safety car came out and it changed the whole landscape of the race.
Yep, indeed, a bunch of things back together, didn't it? And it just allowed, those behind a little bit of hope. Volkonga looked, way more comfortable on a softer compounded tyre, as did a few others. And just allowed them to stay with those top two. But to be fair, it's the first time in a while that we've seen a driver or two on complete raw pace. I mean, they didn't in the end. I guess you could say they weren't particularly close. But there was a feeling that they really could have just broken away on pure pace, those two. And we haven't seen that for a while. And it just shows, how quick they were here tonight, were Gabor and Rennes. Volkonga, did an amazing job to, lead that race for so long in the end. He did a very good race himself, was consistent, managed the tyres well. But yeah, it's interesting. That is the first time, at least that I can remember, that two drivers have really looked like they had the potential to really, pull away and break that DRS and not look back.
Yeah, we've seen moments. I mean, from Rennes and Cameron when he was here. Sorry, but Rennes has been the one that it's quite rightly he is a very, very good special talent. But Gabor just nearly pound for pound matched him in qualifying, but in the race Gabor seemed to have that little bit extra, a bit like Volkongen. He had that extra in the medium. Gabor seemed to have that extra in the race as well. Rennes not taken away. He looked really, really good. But interesting, that safety car. It felt like it came out at the right time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I mean, just the right time for everyone to put on their tyres and get to the end on the mediums. One thing you could argue for Rennes, knowing the championship situation, didn't need to take too much risk. He knew he was in a good position and he didn't need to throw it all away for the sake of a few extra points. And he's done just that. He's come on P2. It's a solid result. He's another step closer to the title here in season 19.
He is indeed, and such a shame for Joe Murphy. He tried his best to come through. He threw Hail Mary in there as well and tried that alternate strategy along with Ryderdal. It just wasn't meant to be. He had a couple of times with damage, Joe Murphy, and it's just a shame there. But, well, that is Canada. We will still wait for a little bit longer to see if anyone will jump in the interview room. But let's talk about Austria next. Very, very similar, but not as enclosed as Canada.
Yeah, it's a bit more room for error, you could argue. Bit, more runoff. Which who knows if that's a good or a bad thing in terms of the drivers making the most of that when it comes to wheel-to-wheel combat. But yeah, more open, of course. I guess more clear-cut overtaking opportunities. Of course, the most notable one up the hill into turn number 3. And of course, if you get the X out of there, you could have a lunge into 4 as well. So yeah, should be an interesting one. We were speaking about this before we went live. Is it a break week next week or not? I find it difficult to believe that we'd do. We'd have like what, a 3 to 4 week break, come back, in the new year, and then just go straight to another break week.
I think you've got outdated calendar, because the calendar that's on the screen right now is 16th, 17th for Austria.
You see, that makes much more sense than the one in the Discord at this moment in time. Yeah, that makes a lot more sense. I mean, we had our theories why there could be a break week, but still didn't make a whole lot of sense. And well, here we are. If we are back next week, then I guess we'll see everyone there.
Definitely. A little bit more on Austria, the Red Bull Ring, or whatever you want to call it, Spielberg, or the yeah. Anyway, turn 3. Obviously, we've seen in real life, championship rivals collide. Last year in real F1, and then obviously Hamilton and Rosberg famously as well. But turn 4 here in WOR, I mean, people cast your minds back. You believe you were even on the track at the time, Leopard, but Tom Manley, Alfie Butcher and Scyther into turn 4. A massive incident. You know what? This track can have that little bit of controversy which causes chaos, which makes it really, really, really entertaining to watch.
Yeah, it's certainly not a... Look, it might not be a complete danger round if you Rens Thomason, but it's certainly, not a... I guess no round at this stage of the season is going to be, kind of a gimme. But it's not like a track where you look at it and go, you know what? There's not a lot of jeopardy here. It's not all out jeopardy, but it's not like free of jeopardy, if that makes any sense. It's Austria, and things can definitely happen. There, obviously, as you mentioned, into 3, into 4. Of course, you have the exit of 4, and if they're still side by side, things could happen in the middle sector if they fancy it. And that, who knows what manner of chaos that could cause. Of course, track limits, maybe not as much as Canada, but it can play a role. Can the track limits at the Red Bull Ring? So that'll be another thing to keep an eye on. So yeah, things can happen in Austria. Things can definitely happen in Brazil. Question is, will it be too little too late for those things to happen in Brazil? We'll have to wait and see until next week in Austria. But yeah, Gareth, I'll leave you with the final word.
Fantastic. What a race we've had in Canada tonight. The championship lead has, extended really when you're looking at it from a Ren's point of view. He's done what he needed to do, and he's done it in some fashion as well. But the race really was all about Gabor and how he could battle, and he's managed to battle well and took victory tonight. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and we'll see you next week.